Bati-Bati Book Club.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, those who lie betwixt or in between, to yet another episode of the Bati-Bati Book Club. I am your host, the Masahiro Chono of Pulling Up Shots from the Logo, Squill, joined as always by my co-host Walk, and a special guest this week, none other than half of the former New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions, former DDT Heavy Metalweight Champion, had the best match at Bloodsport this year, Royce Isaacs. How you doing, man?
Yeah, hell yeah. It was a little that's the first time I've actually had to hear out loud former New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions. So that was a little bit
Ooh.
that
Oh,
hurt me
dude.
inside. But
Oh,
yeah, but I will say best match at Bloodsport. We came around at the end to something a little bit nicer. So I'm happy now. We're back to good.
Royce, I'm here to tell you, I was the one person in Chicago shining your name. You might have heard me. I was the only guy screaming out Royce at the top of my lungs.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone else was definitely really against us in that setting, but
lame,
there was one
lame. I thought
guy.
this was a heel territory.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, Chicago used to be cool. I don't know what happened to them. They don't like to party anymore.
It was some guy named Phil, I think.
Yeah, he's that's the big problem with
Please
Chicago.
make a
That is the
statement
big
about
problem.
CM Punk.
Hey, my only statement is he gave me a $75 gift card the one time we really ever interacted. So
Oh,
I
that's
got nothing
sick.
but positive thing. But Jungle Boy is my guy. Like
Hell
we've
yeah.
trained together a lot. So I don't know. I'm torn. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. You
This is
don't.
a Jungle Boy Defender podcast. I love this
Oh,
We.
title.
perfect. All right, I'm among my people.
I
Yeah.
love Jack Perry. I love that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Me too. Shout out to Jack Berry.
Shout out Jack.
So
Get on the
the
podcast.
so th- so the topic of this podcast stemmed from my interview with Royce, and it went down to my question I asked every wrestler, which was who is a wrestler that more people should take influence from? And you said Hiroshi Hase, and I think that's a fucking amazing choice. Part of it is just that 80s and 90s New Japan isn't really talked about much. But part of it is also that he's sort of just an understated wrestler. But can you speak at all as to why you like him so much?
Yeah. So I think when you watch Hase, like he's clearly a student of the game. Like we'll get into the actual match breakdown in a minute, but like if you watch all three of those, none of them are really the same. Like
Mhm.
one of them is like an 80s Southern face heel like blow off cage
Yeah.
match. And then like there's one that's like a real like mat technicians kind of wet dream type of match. And then one that's like what you would kind of, think of as like an epic Japanese pro wrestling match. So like he's a guy that clearly takes influences from all over and has worked with a wide array of talents. And I think maybe he gets a little bit overlooked in the grand scheme of things. 'Cause I think a lot of times he was the guy that lost to the guy instead of the
Mm.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, as a student of the game, sometimes I feel like you can almost learn more or take more from people like that. And he does some really cool, interesting, different kind of stuff in the ring. Like I was watching these matches and like writing down stuff. Like, oh, I need to steal that. Oh, I haven't seen someone do that in 20 years or whatever. That's going to be my thing now too.
I hope if
Um,
you grow out your hair again, then you bring it back as a mullet.
um, that hair is never coming back. I'm gonna be real. The it was already I was already getting dusted in the back, but
I hear you.
I had a in December where I had like a month off, and I was like, oh, let me grow out. Let's see where we're at, and it's only gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. So bald boy for life for sure.
Hey
But
man,
if I ever got a wig, maybe I'd get the Hase wig.
hey man. Oh, that's what you do. You like run in, you're wearing a hoodie, and you have like a mullet wig. That's sweet for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
sweet
yeah.
return. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be and wrestle Yano and he tries to do the hair pull and just
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
off and I'm bald. But yeah, I think like someone like Hase is like someone like he's like a worker's worker.
Mm.
I think he's like a guy that you can take a lot of uh, technique from, and even if you're not, even if you're just a guy that just likes to watch wrestling and enjoy wrestling, I think there's a lot there for you. So I'm a big proponent of we got to make sure that we keep these names alive and keep them in like the kind of the thoughts of the fans so that they still like otherwise everything gets boring and homogenized and we can't
Yeah.
have people that are that good at wrestling not, kind of be in everyone's minds.
Absolutely. I have my own sort of background with Hase. Early on in my watching of wrestling career, thanks to one Squill, he was showing me some 90s strong style stuff, and a name that really jumped out to me was Hase. He's this cool
Hmm.
dude with a mustache and a mullet, and he just comes out and he beats the shit out of people. That's cool as fuck. And he's got the
Hmm.
yellow, he's got the little shorts. It's cool.
Yeah.
Cool ass dude.
And
Yeah, man.
just to briefly talk about his background, and even what he's doing this day, which is also interesting, he's trained
Hmm.
by Ricky Chosu. And what Wak and I have coined is that there's a Chosu factory,
Hmm.
which is just all of these like rectangular motherfuckers that Ricky Chosu ends up training. You know, the most prominent one today being Ishii. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's where we get Hase from, and he has that long career in New Japan. Never holds the IWGP Heavyweight title, which is very sad. Um,
Hmm.
Hmm.
it's also really interesting is now he's the minister here. He was the minister of education in Japan. Um, and then later, now he's the governor of a prefecture. But 2 years
Yeah.
ago, while a sitting governor, he wrestled in Pro Wrestling Noah.
Really?
Yeah,
I
That's
didn't know
amazing.
this.
yeah,
That's cool as hell.
62.
I
Yeah.
bet that match was I bet he was doing some stuff like from this Kabashi match.
Well, it was a 8-man tag, so he got to do
Oh,
basically nothing, which is perfect for him.
that probably for the best.
But for the
Sure.
first
But
actual,
also think
oh, sorry, go
about if
ahead.
you live in this if you live in this prefecture, like, if you live in, if I'm in California, I'm upset about something. I gotta write Gavin Newsom a letter or whatever. I can't face him in a pro wrestling ring. If
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
a pissed off constituent, you could maybe get a match with Hiroshi Hase, and it
That
probably won't turn
would,
out well for you. But you could give him much stronger than like a worded letter. You could give him a suplex.
Yeah,
and that I think that's how the government should be,
Agreed. Yeah, we need to go back to having more wrestler governors.
yeah. I mean,
right?
Ventura. My mother lived in Minnesota during Ventura's government or
Rick-
governancy, and she liked it. So yeah, maybe we go
m-
there.
Oh yeah.
My but my father was also there, and he said, "quote That shit sucked." He was. I don't know. So
Mm.
we got a couple mixed reviews on Ventura on Rate My Governor.
Okay. So to go into our first match, we have the most famous probably of any of these three matches, and that is Hiroshi Hase's famous match versus the Great Muta in 1992. This coined the Muta scale.
Hmm.
And
Mm.
there had been an ongoing feud between Muta and his weird demon alter ego, and he was, I mean, I assume this is where Finn Balor stole the demon thing, because basically Kaiji Muta would drop a match, and then Great Muta would reemerge and get the win back.
Whoa.
But now here we are with the demon persona versus Hiroshi Hase.
And getting into the match, my copy is kind of nuts looking. It's got all the pixels in the universe. So a
Yes.
lot of it was like looking at abstract art. So a lot of this is me, my own interpretation, if you will.
Mm.
But
Oh, 1 second, I do want to ask, Royce, where did you first see this match?
Uh, mm, Probably somewhere in like I think I'd already started actually wrestling, so probably would have had to be like 2015 or 2016. I so as far as my wrestling viewing experience, I only knew about like WWE and Ring of Honor or
mm,
maybe or sorry, WWE and TNA
Hmm.
until I don't know 2012, and then I got into at the time current New Japan around then.
mm,
So I didn't actually get into getting back into the archives and watching older stuff until I started wrestling school in 2014. So it would have had to be post 2014. I'm gonna guess like 2014, 2015, 2016, somewhere in there.
Sick.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I Oh no, I was just gonna say I really like how when you watch this match, it's such a not Japanese pro wrestling match.
It
Like it's such
Yeah.
a different kind of structure, and I mean, yeah, it's out there. It's good.
this sucker could have been in the Memphis Dome, right?
100%.
Like
100%.
like we'll get into it eventually, but like there's some it's kind of it's wild. It feels very different from like all of Hase's other matches.
Yes.
I get
You
it.
you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start us off. Let's see here. I was talking about the crazy theme that was in mine. It was like just very low quality, pixel crunched. Um, but they both get to the ring. Muda is wearing his best red and blue, and looks cracked out of his mind with these crazy looking eyes, just like staring down Hase. But Hase's locked in. He doesn't see it. He has no fear on his face. Um, but they ring the bell. Muda does the mist, but midway through the mist, Hase runs at him and just like lariats him, and whoops his ass to, I think he throws him to the outside like basically immediately, which is kind of the story of this match. That is just each other throwing them into the outside and doing something crazy. Um, Hase like slams Muda through a table, which is pretty sweet. Um, but Muda starts hitting some massive elbows to the dome, uh, and some sweet chops. Um, I like Muda, like his he's very punchy when specifically at this time.
hmm
He's doing like these really crisp chops. It's super sweet.
And you could really
Um,
tell he really embodied a lot of when he was in NWA and then WCW. He embodied so much of that into what he's doing here.
hmm yeah, he's pretty. This is a pretty good era of my
By the
boy
way,
Muda,
Royce, whenever you want to butt in, go for it. Because
dude. I'm a,
we're just going through our
um,
thing.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have a good chronological
No, no, go
anything, so I'll
ahead.
just cut in with random stuff. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate especially with Muda. But both of them kind of like are just like unique and move like no one moves like Muda in the history
hmm
of wrestling, and I like that. Like it, we have a problem with this in wrestling now, where like everyone kind of moves and looks the same or tries to do the same kind of stuff,
for
and so it's
sure.
always really nice when you get to watch something that's refreshing, where it's like these guys are just trying to be themselves and doing what that person would do in this situation or whatever. So like
hmm
when Muda sells, it's different than anyone else selling. When he moves, when he hits the ropes, it's different than anyone else
The
moving
way
or hitting the ropes.
yeah, I actually noted in my notes as well that Muda has this weird way of selling where it's like a mix between no selling and actually selling. Like
Hmm
he's very stiff. He doesn't like bounce around the ring much, except for when he does. Um,
hmm
like he'll stand still whenever he's getting chopped by Hase and like starts tweaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and like
He's
yeah,
trying to put over that he's some sort of like demonic entity.
he's a
So
grizzled bug guy.
so when you hit him instead of feeling normal pain, apparently he just starts like twitching like a freak. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Uh,
once they're back in the ring, we get the grappling going, which is standard New Japan fare for the time.
hmm yeah, Muda is doing a single leg crab, which he turns into a Muda lock. But the way Hase gets out of it is a very Hase way of getting out of it. Is just, I think he does an iron claw
Yeah.
into Muda and just like grips his face hard enough to make him stop. Um, when I first watched this match, which was a while ago, I thought that it was going to be like more one-sided on Muda's side, where it was going to be like whoever he was going up against, he was going to be like bleeding a bunch. What I wasn't expecting was Muda himself to actually just be bleeding out of his face the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't even think Hase gets any color on him. Like him and well, obviously he gets
Gets it
color on
on him,
himself.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's mostly Hase playing like this. It almost you almost feel bad for Muda at some point. Aside from
Yeah,
Muda being Muda, it's very one-sided for Hase for the most
yeah.
part.
This is like he's like Tully Blanchard, just like
Hmm.
torturing, Magnum TA or whatever this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Literally
yeah.
driving the spike into him and making him bleed and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
like
for sure.
getting Muda pissed enough that Muda's like at some point starts throwing chairs in the ring. Sorry to bury the lead. I know that's later or whatever, but you know what I
All
mean?
good.
It's like, yeah,
No,
you're like you legitimately like it's old Southern heel shit, and I love it.
yeah, Hase is like the best way I described it was to annoy Muda, he hits the paint me like one of your French girls taunt and starts hitting the come here hand. And Muda's crashing out, he's throwing chairs and shit. It's hilarious. Um,
On the note of how Muda moves, after
mhm,
the brief grappling exchange, Muda starts going crazy against the ropes and hitting his like spinning Sayama kick and all that.
mhm.
And it is immediately impressive that Hase proves that he can actually move quickly if he wants to. He's just been choosing not to.
He likes to move around
Mhm.
like Mr. X from Resident Evil.
Hmm.
Um, there's a big vertical suplex. It's kind of a weird one. He kind of is like I don't know what's weird about it, but it feels like midway through the turn, it's like they turn it into a face buster. It was a very weird looking vertical.
Hmm.
Oh,
Entirely po
I think I know what you're talking about. It
yeah.
was almost certainly someone thought we were doing vertical suplex and someone thought we were slipping behind because right after that they do another vertical suplex and Muda slips behind.
Oh
I had to
yeah. Okay.
rewatch it because I was like, because at first I was like, did they just invent a new suplex that has never been done before or since?
Oh
And so I
shit,
had
I
to
get the
watch
new
it
move.
again. And as soon as I saw that, I know that literally that was where my head was at. And then I was like, if he picks him up right after this and does a suplex and Muda lands behind, I guarantee that's what it was. And then immediately that happened. I was like, okay, we just got a
It's
little off track. Someone was a little miscommunicating or whatever. But it did look kind of fucking cool. If you
Yeah.
could figure out how to do that safely all the time, that would be like a new suplex. But I don't
And that's where kind of
know.
the minimalism of Hase works, where even if there's a miscommunication there, it just seems like something Hase would do something
Mm-hmm.
that mean, and then also just hit another suplex right after it.
an important part of
100%.
It fits seamlessly.
f-
Yeah.
a very big part about the Hase character is that he's just kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Not in like a particularly, I wouldn't even say like in a cartoon heel way. He's just kind of like a realistic, like if you were going against somebody in like we'll say like an MMA context, he seems like the kind of guy to start like poking your eyes. Um,
Mm.
or like
And he
doing
doesn't need to. He's like the guy
Yeah.
that like does something kind of cheap, and you're like, dude, you probably could have beaten me regardless. Like you didn't have to also hold my glove or whatever.
Hmm.
Hiroshi Hase, truly the John Jones of professional wrestling.
Well, yeah, I said he ranges from when he's a heel, he's your cool dad, and if he's if he's a face, he's your cool dad, and if he's a heel, he's your mean stepdad. And that's sort of
Yeah.
the alignment of Hiroshi Hase.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So I kind of wanted to bring this up because we have a professional wrestler in the call with us. What the stun gun ball style, like picking the dude up and then putting the atomic dropping them on their balls. I guess this is also a loophole rules wise,
Yeah.
for the atomic drop. That feels like one of the greatest like rules lawyering your way out of hitting a low blow ever. Like
Yeah. I mean, that shit looks wild too. Like
it did.
even just for already what the idea is. Like if you can watch the match, anyone who's listening to this, it like looks even crazier when it happens, kind of how it
Hus
turns out.
Then he
the,
does it
to,
again on a barricade.
yeah, I was about
Yeah,
to say,
right after.
to quote my notes, Hase gets his balls exploded by Muda, and then the crazier barrier ball drop. And then Hase, like, after getting his testicles torsioned, um, picks up Muda for a crazy German. Like that was all neck. That mood, how Muda took it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, then Hase does like starts scraping Muda's forehead against the top rope and
Yes.
smiles at Tiger Hattori like, well, I'm a little stinker. What are you
Uh,
Yeah.
gonna
we've
do
uh
with me?
we've mentioned this in previous like old school New Japan stuff, but Tiger Hattori is just one of the most charismatic refs. Where he is the very understated, not quite like a Red Shoes, where he's like theatrically like fallen over after a near fall or something. But
Hmm.
Tiger Hattori adds like a nice level of class to each match, and it's even funnier when he's
Mm.
trying to. What I like about him especially is he doesn't take shit from the heels. Like he's like
Hmm.
physically pushing Hase back even though
Mm.
he is like 70 pounds less than him.
Tiger Hattori will whoop someone's ass if they are cheating. He is awesome. I love that dude. I'm getting the Tiger Hattori shirt on newjapan.com. Um, but he is yeah, he's great. I love me some Tiger Hattori. I will note more Tiger Hattori moments as the night goes on, as the recording goes on. Uh, but Muda is going full Muda mode. He's throwing chairs. He bumped Tiger Hattori. Not cool, dude.
Also,
Um,
his face paint is basically gone from sweat.
yes.
And then replaced
Um,
by blood.
Yep.
it eventually gets replaced by blood. I don't think it's completely gone there yet. It's definitely dripping though.
Yeah.
Um,
And he wants his chairs now.
Muda is throwing the chairs. He's pissed off. He gets pushed off mid attempt at the Muda moonsault. And he goes underneath the ring, I'm pretty sure, and grabs a spike.
Yes, he does.
And immediately he goes into the ring to start using it, but Hase snatches it out of his hand. He puts it in his mouth and like the Sheik. It's sweet.
The way he plays for the crowd is also absolutely awesome. Because that
Yeah.
It's
is,
sweet.
like I said, this is one of the best Memphis matches that not take place in Memphis. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, he puts it in his mouth. He makes time to let it breathe, so he like takes a full circle around the ring and plays to the crowd. It's just such
Hmm.
a great little moment.
So sweet. And like Hase immediately starts stabbing at Muda, and Muda just and then Muda starts gushing blood, and it's so sick to see the like his hair is all messed up, and he's like looking around, and his eyes are bulging. It's a great visual.
And then
I note
Hase
here.
bites him.
Yes, I immediately noted that Hase matches Muda's freak by biting him on his wound.
And spitting the blood out.
Yeah, shout out Pirata Morgan.
Hmm. And
Um,
it's amazing because listening to the crowd's reaction is really interesting
mhm.
because they're like, "Yeah, Hase, kill him."
Let's go. Let's go. Um, Hase gets a sleeper in after. Oh, wait. Excuse me. I almost forgot to note the craziest looking pile driver I might have ever seen. That I don't think caused an injury. Um, Hase does this pile driver where it's like the way he lands, it's like his head, like Muda's head is like at his knees, and he basically takes it all on his head. It's crazy.
Yeah, he
Um,
kind of just like good luck.
Yeah.
yeah, he,
I hope
he's
you didn't have
screwed.
neck bridges, buddy.
He's
I think it also has partly said because Hase's got those like thunder thighs,
Oh
which I
yeah.
oh,
can
true.
respect and relate to. I think between that and Muda is pretty fucking like acrobatic. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Hmm.
Hmm.
sure he. I've seen other. In fact, in one of the other matches, there's a different Hase pile driver, and it's way different than that. So I almost wonder if it's like a thing. Like I'll put it this way: if anyone out there is done watching the Hiroshi Hase and wants to watch me versus John Morrison, there's an absolutely insane thing that happens in that I wouldn't do with anyone else.
Hmm.
You'll know it when you see it, kind of thing. Like, holy
Yeah.
shit, how does that even work? And it's like, well, John Morrison is able to do that with his body or whatever, and be and so
Parkour.
it might be a thing where Mood is also like, yeah, I can kind of handstand and keep my neck strong and they'll be fine or whatever.
Hmm.
Because if not, if that wasn't like if Hase just forgot how to do a pile driver and decided to do it like that, I would at least be having a stern talking in the back about it. Like, hey, buddy, remember
Absolutely.
when you tried to murder me?
Not cool, dude.
And
But also Muda's a
it
freak.
helps in the John Morrison case when you're a seemingly ageless being.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works.
Muda and Morrison. It's all those M last names.
So what you're saying is that I should have my wrestling name just be like a long line of M's so I can become
Yeah,
immortal.
indeed.
Then what's your problem? Why is your
That
name?
I haven't done that.
You haven't. You have to
That's
do
my
that
issue.
after. You have to put.
Royce
It could be your middle
Isaacs.
name,
Yeah.
Royce M. Isaacs.
My middle name isn't M. McAllister.
There you go.
Well, there you go. Okay, never mind. I'll let.
All right.
Hey,
All
hey,
right,
you're
we're
already.
good.
We're good. We're good. Hase locks in a sleeper. Um, and for some reason, Muto starts making like cicada noises.
Yes, because he is a bug.
He's a bug man. He's a. I'm here to tell you, he's kind of a freak. Um, let me see. Yeah, I already noted the selling, no selling way he does it. It's really interesting to watch because it looks like Hase is getting pissed off that Muda isn't selling his offense hard enough. So he just starts hitting him harder and harder, but he keeps selling it the exact same way. Um, and then almost in a blink of an eye, Muda starts hitting his Uranagi and like a back suplex. And then another suplex, and then an attempted moonsault, which fails, and then a
Hmm.
crazy dragon suplex, and then another dragon suplex. Hase is kicking out. Muda is bleeding like like half of his body weight, and then he hits a massive backbreaker to the moonsault and to the three.
Yeah.
Unless anybody else has some extra notes on this, good match.
Yeah,
I
I
would.
mean,
Yeah.
the blood is like the biggest part of this, obviously.
Mhm.
It's probably like a good match, and
Mhm.
then the be honest, the in the words of Joseph Montesilio, blood has never made a match less interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's a really good match. It's a really fun match. It like you said, like the most Memphis match to take place in not Memphis.
yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's two really amazing all-time great wrestlers having a really, really I think interesting and different match.
Hmm.
Even though it's not there's I think maybe technically as a match it might be the weakest of the three that we watched,
I
That was our
but
agree.
it
conclusion as well.
also might be like the most entertaining, or at least it's as up there as the other ones in terms of just my visual interest in it.
Hmm.
And I like how different it is. And I don't know. You'll never get me to watch Muda and Hase and not be like, oh, that was fucking sick. That was a good use of 30 minutes.
Yeah. I
So as a
never.
prelude, I was just gonna say, as a prelude to our next match, how's your neck feeling, Royce?
My neck's been pretty good lately, but there's been times in my life, if anyone's ever watched Jarrell and myself versus Aussie Open from PWG,
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
yeah, there's a spot where I get dumped like insanely hard on my neck, like where
Dude,
I watch it back and I still don't know how I'm okay. So shout outs to all the creaky neck boys out there. I hope you're doing your stretches and getting better.
I got mine really lame. I kind of have a creaky neck because I was rolling. I mean, it was gi jujitsu too, so it's not even cool. I was on top of a dude, and he just kind of like bucked me off at an awkward angle, and I just kind of, and I was like,
Ah,
okay, yeah, it was lame as fuck. My neck's fine though.
good.
My neck's fine enough. I started doing my bridges and eating my vitamins or whatever, and it's back to basically the same level.
So
There
someone
you
who
go.
has
Good.
their neck in a little worse shape might be the '90s ace of New Japan, Masahiro Chono.
Let's fucking
And for our
go.
next match, we have him against Hiroshi Hase in the final of the 1993 G1 Climax. So I want to take this as a place to talk about Chono himself. I think he's historically underrated.
Hmm.
Honestly, just because his game is a lot less sexy than the Great Muta or um, why am I Shinya Hashimoto?
Nothing
Um,
sexier than
Mm,
Shinya Hashimoto.
true.
aside from his kicks. Um, But he's just so much less flashy. But there's so much like if anyone, like Royce, you've done amateur wrestling. There's so much of
Yep.
that Chono puts in here because he'll do like wrestling rides when he's going for mat work, or he'll get like
Mhm.
head position,
Hmm.
in like tie ups, which I think is awesome. I don't know. You have any thoughts about Chono?
Um, I honestly, my favorite part from this match, and I really enjoyed the match front to back, but my favorite part of this match was those boys getting after it at the beginning and doing a little amateur wrestling because
Yes.
I thought it was really, really clean. I thought, yeah, I just thought they had like a really clear, awesome chemistry, especially when it came to some of their like kind of natural wrestling at the beginning. So for someone like me, like that was an absolute pleasure to watch. Easy to, so it's like, yeah, this is great. This is wrestling. How could you not enjoy this?
And
Absolutely.
because I'm working on something about a Chono versus Muda match, and Chono starts it the exact same way for all of his like big
Mm.
25-minute epics. He does the amateur wrestling in the beginning, and I love it every time because he adds a level of realism to something like he literally does a test of strength at one point, but then he's getting the head position, and then will like shoots a single leg off the test of strength in the other match I was talking about, and it's just so cool that he has that mind for that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's also a great way to build up an epic 25-minute match because, like, I get it. Sometimes you don't have nearly as long, and it takes time, and it's tiring, and this, that, whatever. But when you do have the time, it's like there should be some level of, oh shit, this is the wrestling match of the night. This is the main. This is important, even if it may not be as flashy or as fun as watching some of the acrobatics that other people do. I think there's something that it adds to kind of the gravitas of some of the stuff that'll happen later, and I think sometimes it'll make people pay attention, even if it's like, oh,
Hmm.
this may not be. It's almost like I would say like the wrestling equivalent of like how Jake Roberts would talk really kind of quiet and
Hmm.
at his own pace, and it made you listen more. It's kind of like that where it like makes you kind of watch more and have to dig in because you're like, oh, I can't just. This isn't just like, oh, I look at my phone and watch someone flip kind of from the side of my, whatever. Oh, hey, now time to clap. It's like, no, no, we're gonna make you pay attention to this.
Hmm.
I That is a great way of explaining like mat work at the start of a match. That 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 might be my favorite explanation, I would say.
And yeah,
What's
I
crazy is
mentioned,
I had never thought about that before. That was all off the top of the dome, baby.
Hey, hey, that
and
you've
what a
got a
shiny
natural
dome it
mind for it.
is.
Apparently.
And
Um,
I was just gonna say, yeah, I've mentioned on the podcast before, but I did some wrestling. I did like 6 months of wrestling training as well. And yeah, there's a fucking reason why you have that to start the match, and it was it was the only thing I was any good at just because of my background. So I have a certain fondness for it.
Wait, you're telling me you aren't doing Tiger Destroyers off the
I,
top
I'm
rope?
I may not be.
Lame. I've got the reason I like Chono is a lot dumber actually.
Okay.
Number one, I like Chono because he smokes penises and he looks cool as fuck.
Yes, the
Um,
cigar era.
so I was very disappointed to find that this is nice boy Chono who is not smoking penises and he's got a cool
Well,
mustache, I
this is
guess.
still in the handsome era before he turns heel.
You're telling me that Masahiro Chono is not like peak sex appeal when he's wearing like blade sunglasses, a big cigar, a long trench coat, and like five Yakuza dudes are like crossing their arms on ringside and are like, yeah, he's pretty cool. I guess we won't kill him. Um,
So
yeah, no,
to
yeah.
begin this, I was gonna say the collar elbow tie up is awesome because something that Chono does all the time is he sort of like sprawls on the collar elbow tie up, which makes me feel like he's really trying to actually drag the other guy down and snap them down to the mat, which is something I really enjoy.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
And
pretty sweet.
then he gets the go behind. We trade those waist locks, and we get that fireman's carry from Hase,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
such a great reversal of the double wrist lock.
Yeah, I noted that. It he tosses him.
It looks so
Yeah, it was a
natural as
fuck
well.
you. Yeah, it was a fuck you, fireman's for sure.
Absolutely.
And if when you hit it in a shoe context, there's no other kind of fireman's. That is not a fun thing to get to get dumped by.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah. And then they do the best sequence in wrestling ever, the test of strength.
Okay, but it rocks
Um,
here.
It
no,
does.
as it turns out, my one bit about the terrible test of strength that Razor Ramon and Bret Hart did, it has not carried weight because ever since we've had only good tests of strength.
Because what I love is you see like when Hase goes down, he's like fully on his toes,
Hmm.
bridging onto his neck to
It's
fight it.
sweet. It's cool as hell. And he hits this crazy hook kick when he gets
Yeah.
back up and just gloms him in the face. It's
The only
so
other guy I've
sick.
seen do that exact setup so many times is Akira Taue.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Um, yeah.
Shout out, by the way, to the Star of David on Hiroshi Hase's boots.
I didn't see that.
There's
I
a
somehow
six
didn't
pointed
notice that. That's sick.
there's a I don't know why, but there's a 6 pointed star on his
All right.
boots.
I guess that's cool.
Wow.
Um, and then there's a crazy ankle pick by Chono.
Yeah. That's what I was
Um,
saying about the amateur wrestling here because what and once again Royce you can probably speak to this but incorporating amateur wrestling into pro wrestling is hitting all of the stuff you wish you could hit in a shoot in quick succession where you're like yeah
oh yeah.
I could ankle pick a guy and then firemen's carry him I could totally do that.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've hit more like Russian armbar ankle picks in matches than I have like ever on people for real.
Yeah.
Or if I hit them on people for real, it's because like, all right, well, this guy's very new to highest on, and I'm gonna try out some shit. I definitely can't hit on the purple belts and the brown belts and the black belts today or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and no, for sure. It's like I feel like I'm trying to think like ankle picks and low singles and stuff that like I would never in a million years be shooting like this on heavyweights if I was really like worried
Hmm.
about just getting like when I'm rolling for you know like at a tournament or whatever, it's like snatch single, take you down, get to side control, really just get to side control, side control, side control. Oh, you're
Royce, you
now
sound like a
gonna
nightmare for
crush.
me. For me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh,
You're
you haven't been breathing for the last 4 minutes, and you're basically giving me your arm. Thank you. That's
the
that's like mostly my game. But when it's not like that, it's like okay, cool. Oh, ankle pick, fucking low
Imanari roll.
single. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do all my kind of crazy, let me do a 360 double all of a sudden.
I like the idea of doing amateur wrestling, but if you were also Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
He's too powerful already. We can't also teach him that.
No, he can't learn mat work. He get my favorite part of the Bryan Danielson match he had was him getting really scared whenever Bryan brought him to the mat. He was just like, no, 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 and just the most anti-wrestling.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say something I love once they go to the mat here, is how Hase does he just sort of he gets that single leg, dumps him down. There's sort of a guard, but not really, and
Hmm.
he does step over to side control for a second. But as Chono turns back, he goes initially for the armbar, but then he ends up just locking his feet together and just trying to ankle lock him against his own ankle, and
Oh
that
yeah.
shit is just brutal.
Hmm. I think out of that sequence too, they managed to get like best I could describe it as is like what if you did a razor's edge pin but without the bomb? Um,
Hmm.
it's pretty sweet.
And I also love, I said it before, but Chono will try to institute like wrestling rides, like hooking one leg from behind and trying to control their posture as he transitions. And it's really cool seeing someone like, because I know this is pro wrestling, but there's wrestling in that name. And he's trying to control you. And a lot of pro wrestling is like you try for a hold, the hold doesn't work. And so then you're back to neutral. He's trying to maintain control even if that one submission
Hmm.
doesn't work. And I really like that.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool.
And
Um,
then Hase just hit a great switch.
Yeah.
Go to the hammerlock.
Mm. Um, so a big part of the story of this match is that Chono hurt his neck against Stone Cold Steve Austin, but at that time was
Hmm.
stunning Steve Austin, with one of the craziest pile drivers I've ever seen. Tombstones, I should say. And Hase is like laser focused on that injury,
Hmm.
um, which makes you feel a little less bad in the next match we're talking about when he gets his knee targeted.
Yep.
I think his knee gets targeted in this match too. Now that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. Shitty knee Hase. Um, but yeah, there's like a bunch of swinging neck breakers. Um, I think at some point Hase is so excited to beat up Chono's neck that he like starts cheating for really
Yes.
no reason. And Taika Hattori is like getting pissed off actively. He's just like, dude, stop. What are you doing?
There's
Um,
also it's one of the nastiest sells is a pile driver from Hase, where he sort of transitions to a gotch style while it's in midair. And
he
the
does this
sell from
move.
Shoto is he just like starts rolling and grabbing his neck, and it's just face down into the mat. And it's like, Jesus Christ, that is a guy who is
Who has
emulating a
broken his
very
neck
real
before.
pain.
That has broken his neck before. He understands. Yeah, yeah, that was pretty messed up using his own move against him.
Hmm.
Um, And then the another big proponent, much like in The Sopranos, where Tony's one of the main character is Tony breathing,
Yes.
is Chono. Labor it has I he has kind of like a like of an assault rifle. It's like a burst fire of his and you hear it the whole time.
The
Hmm.
entire time.
The entire time. There if you are not you must have gone deaf because Chono is going to start doing that exact it's a great way of selling that he's exhausted because I have heard dudes hit the like get to that point while rolling.
Right.
Um,
Especially
but
against a big guy.
yeah, it is. Yeah, Chono does a great job of sounding exhausted. Yet does he know that he goes on for like another 20 minutes after this.
Hmm.
Um, but
And so Shono in
yeah.
turn starts targeting the leg of Hase. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, he's got the figure four. He also does one of my favorite moves where he just starts elbow dropping him on the knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
love that.
it's pretty cool. But that backfires at some point, and Hase locks in this crazy camel clutch that looks like it's basically only targeting the neck.
Yeah, he sort of almost gets it like it's a body triangle,
Mm,
and then goes to the proper camel clutch.
yeah, it's like he's picking out every single move that he can think of from up to 1993.
Yep.
That is a neck targeting move. It's like he does a dragon sleeper. I've never seen him do a dragon sleeper after this.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's nuts how many neck moves he does. He does like a boss man middle rope. I call it the boss man ball drop in the middle. And that targets the neck too, so he's gonna do that like 5 times. Um but after the boss man's uh Chono just gets back up and he does like a crazy back suplex and then a enziguri. He his is really unique. It feels like everybody has like their own unique looking enziguri.
Hmm.
Like Tenryu's kind of looks like he's coming from like across the planet just to swipe at you. Um, Chono's is very jerky.
Hmm.
Where like it's like how doing a front kick from like a knee almost.
Hmm.
Like he extends his knee first and then he does the kick. Almost roundhouse-esque. Definitely not what that's supposed to be. And then Let's see here. Chono is going for the top rope and realizes that he's too far away from Hase. So he like goes over to the other rope, I thought turnbuckle, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Something, by the way, that this is like sort of like towards the end of the second third of the match.
Hmm.
But it's really cool seeing like because these guys are all from that dojo system where it's either Carl Gotch or someone trained by him or Inoki or whatever. And so
Hmm.
there's glimpses of like really good ground fighting, where he gets that. I believe it's Hase who gets that body triangle, um, that he had previously, but then it goes into an armbar from that, which is like in any
Yeah.
grappling you'll see today when you can try to get the armbar from the back control position. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I note that as Chono for some reason tries to do an omoplata on the knee,
Yes.
which leads to Hase reversing it into an armbar.
Hmm.
But Chono is a genius, and he does an octopus pin. He does an octopus. I think they stand up eventually.
Yeah.
And he goes into a octopus stretch, and then he turns it into a pin, which I think the octopus pin is like really sweet.
Oh yeah,
I wish
I've
you.
always
Shinji
loved
does that
that
a ton.
pin.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I fucking love pinning combinations.
You
That
are a
I'm the
absolute
guy.
pervert for the pinning combination, and I respect that about you.
Well, that's why I've loved Shinya Aoki's current run right now, where he's doing like fucking 70s catch wrestling stuff, trying to pin
Yeah.
people.
Uh-huh. It's pretty sweet.
And it's really interesting the pacing of this, because like what you'd expect is like some sort of bomb throwing thing towards
Yeah.
at some point here, and you kind of get that at the end, but they mostly stay on the mat.
It's really cool, and it's all super engaging.
Hmm. Like
They
Yeah,
nothing
never.
gets.
they're never it's really easy to see, especially if you're like a newer fan and you're watching older matches and you watch something that maybe has a lot of ground based stuff or a lot of holds, and
Mhm.
you'll see a lot of guys that they're grabbing holds and it's not very engaging. They're not really doing a lot other than like waiting for the crowd to get bored enough to start to get behind things so they can start doing interesting stuff. But like here it's not just like, oh well, like this is like the stuff that you also need to appreciate. It's like, no, this is part of the gumbo. This is part of the main
Yeah.
course that you're supposed to enjoy. Is there's a lot of intricate details going on here, and we're gonna switch it up a little. Oh, he starts to get out of this, and now I adjust my hold, and I get into that, and then he
Mhm.
gets into this on me, and then now I have to roll him up or do that. Like it's all part of it, and you actually have to pay attention to it. And it's actually interesting as well. It's not just them like laying there and doing whatever. They're working.
Absolutely agree. They do a great job of everything seems logical that they do. Like from the octopus pin, Chono is doing an STF. Obviously, he's gonna go for that. That's his thing. But Hase might be like Hase, if he has the opportunity, will reverse it into his own STF. But oh no, his knee sucks, so his it'll lead to him bailing on it. Because it literally hurts too much.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
they're very good at telling a very uh logical and sensical story,
Hmm.
especially
Yeah,
here.
and let me just say also Chono's STF is still like one of the best I've ever seen in terms
It's
of he
so
just
sick.
applies it and it looks really fucking sick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you want to see like holds that aren't like used that much in modern day, at least in this seriousness, like an STF or the Scorpion Deathlock, go watch 90s New Japan, and that shit looks
Yeah.
deadly.
Yeah.
The way Hase applies a Scorpion Deathlock, it he is just sitting down on your lower back and it's just folding you like a pretzel.
And I will also say when
Yeah,
you're
you see a lot and you see a lot of really lazy ones these days. It's very important, fortunate,
Hmm.
but I'll call it a shit shooter half the time when I see someone throwing it up there with the bunny ears and whatnot. It's like, come on, man.
A shit shooter.
I was gonna
That's
know
good.
also with the STF, he also does it from he applies it normally from a wrestling back ride. So he's controlling you from the back,
Hmm.
from sort of
Yeah.
referee's position, and then he puts in the STF from there. And I've always
Hmm.
found that really cool that it doesn't feel like stilted at all when he decides to
Yeah.
apply it. He gets there
Absolutely.
naturally.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Um, but after a really great sequence, they start to go into a figure four off to the side of the ropes. But neither man is like letting up, so they just roll to the outside and fall onto the ground. I love that spot so much.
It's always great.
It's so cool. And like th if both of them take it like crap, they're both landing on like their tailbones and they're just like, oh, all both clearly in pain. Um, and they do a good job of still selling the figure four. It's so
Hmm.
good. Um,
Going
and
towards because a lot of this is rather repetitive, I wanted to go at least to commentate on. Can we talk about Chono's power bomb?
Chono has a good power bomb. I describe it as a massive power bomb
Yeah,
with how hard he kicks it. He hits it. Um, just just absolutely dumps him.
and what I like is the when he because I'm referring to this with about like like 5 minutes to spare um before he goes for that figure four where they roll out.
Mm,
What I like about it is you know how in pro wrestling most of the time you hit the big slam and then the guy sells and the guy just kind of leaves him alone in a way that doesn't really make sense. Like it's still let them move breathe obviously, but in like a quote unquote real fight like psychology doesn't necessarily make sense.
mm.
Hase starts crawling away after he hits the power bomb. But Chono doesn't let him go. He immediately then grabs the ankle and goes for the figure four.
And then they do the false spot again. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Tiger Tori gets just kind of pissed off at that point because he counted the last one. But this one, he's like almost actively trying to break it up.
Hmm.
It's really
Mhm.
cool. And then Chono hits an elbow. Hase hits a Uranagi. He's got a crazy looking Uranagi.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the best. It's one of the best Uranagis ever. It's so cool. It's like a Saito Uranagi,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wonder where he learned it.
Yeah, I wonder.
right?
Um,
It's also like basically completely like vertical over his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
he's slam dunking dudes.
He's
It's
doing like
crazy.
he's doing like almost like a mat return motion with how he snaps it.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Mhm.
ridiculously explosive.
So sick. So cool. And then speaking of cool moves that Hase does, his Northern Lights suplex is
Oh yeah, holy shit.
crazy. He does one earlier on in the match, which is from the top rope.
He
Sick
also
as
just
hell.
slams his head into the ground when
Yeah,
he does it.
and he keeps like a perfect bridge too, except for this one because he has a fucked up knee, shitty knee,
Hmm.
I say. And he like folds underneath it and like break it. He couldn't keep the bridge, and then he
Hmm.
does another one to make up for it. Um,
And it's
it,
worth
it's a,
noting that Chono's kickouts are so explosive that
mhm.
multiple times he bounces Hase's head off the mat with the kickout.
As a lighter guy who has to deal with a lot of heavier guys in my rolling, yeah, that's me. I'm getting
Yeah.
launched across the screen. Um, just it's this ending stretch is so good. It's a good match when most of my notes end up becoming like all caps after a
Hmm.
certain point. A massive kick from Chono, and then he does a northern kick to the back of the head. I say, come on, Chono. I'm biting on Chono winning this. Massive DDT. Um, I say, Chono, you have to kill this man.
Yeah.
Another kick to the back of the head. But Hase gets back up. He hits a lariat and then does, I don't know what the submission is called. It kind of just looks like a rear naked choke, but also like partially like a Romero special.
Yeah, because well, he's got the legs hooked in a like he's trying to like ankle lock him sort of like the one
Oh
where you
yeah,
bend your shin against itself, but he's
yeah.
also just got like that chin lock slash neck crank thing going.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Like Royce, I don't know if you have a name for whatever the hell he's doing there for the finish, but
If I had time and could break it down, maybe I could figure out what exactly. But I know he's got the legs entangled, but then he's also got like a neck crank going
yeah,
on
it's
as
not like a
well.
normal
I'm just
like body
Hmm.
triangle. He's like weirdly bending his shin against himself or
Yeah.
against
yes,
the other leg.
it's yeah,
Someone
yes,
needs to steal that, and it could be
for
you.
sure. And
This
yeah, you might be talking to him right now.
this
Yeah.
episode of Bati-Bati Book Club ended up being change Royce Isaacs like a create a wrestler, change his moveset.
By the way, to conclude this, the way Hase sells is hilarious. Or he just
Hmm.
starts jumping around like Bas Rutten style.
Wahoo! Wahoo! Yeah. I was biting on Shono winning. I thought he's Mr. G1. I was like, come on, man.
Oh, 6 days later, Chono would become NWA champion. By the way,
Oh, okay. Just
yeah.
couldn't have hurt that bad.
Do you have any closing thoughts on this match, Royce?
Um, this might be my favorite of the three that
Yeah.
we watched. Uh,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like the sleeper out of the three, but I think it's the best. And a big part of that is the amateur wrestling at the beginning, but they
Hmm.
really build to that backside of that ending stretch really well. And yeah, I don't know. It's like really cool too to see Hase, who I think he's probably like most remembered for the times that where he didn't win some of the big ones. It's cool to see him, win one of the biggest ones of his career, and it's
Absolutely.
a phenomenal match front to back. So go out of your way and check it out if you haven't.
I think it's in the pantheon of one of my favorite matches of all time.
Yeah.
It's
Mm,
it's so good. Chono, it's
There's a bunch of sleeper hits from Chono, from like 92, 93.
he might be the sleeper goat. He might be the sleepiest goat of all time.
mm,
Um, but, talking about goats,
Yeah.
sweet transition. Um, the no a guy who does a sleeper suplex, but
mm,
nobody is sleeping on this goat. I'm talking about Hiroshi Hase versus Kenta Kobashi. I okay, I've never seen this match. And
Hmm.
when like I was talking to Squill and I was like, "Oh, okay, so Royce is gonna recommend a match." I was like, "Okay, it's probably gonna be somebody else on the New Japan roster." I didn't know this match existed.
Yeah.
So seeing I get to watch a Kenta Kobashi match for the podcast, I was rubbing my hands together. I was smacking my chops. I was excited.
And this comes at a really interesting time because at the end of like 96, Hase has left New Japan.
Hmm.
He's been hanging out. Well, there was a few. I think he worked for Tenryu in one of his feds for a little bit, but I think he had some war matches if I'm not hallucinating them.
Yeah, my
Um,
money's on War.
but he ends up in All Japan in '97. And it's deeply interesting because for a lot of it, he's not really tailoring his style that much.
Hmm.
You'll see him give a little bit in the one we're talking about. But another historically underrated guy who he's not an all-time legend, but I really like Timon Honda. And
mm,
Hase
Hmm.
tags with him, and they just gel together really well since you have the more amateur wrestling strong style guy working with him,
Hmm.
mm,
and that all builds to this match.
I didn't know the background to this, so it makes sense why Kobashi looks like he's going to rip Hase's head off.
Yeah, he's been hanging
And
out with his buddy Timon Honda.
yeah,
He stole his
um,
friend.
still his friend. Um, Hase immediately, before I get even to the thing I was about to talk about, Hase has one of my favorite like before you lock up moments where he like goes towards them and he like kind of dances around them. I feel like even that is like a perfectly crafted thing that basically he only does.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks great every time. But like I don't even think they do lock up. But Hase is the first to initiate a chop battle, and
Bad
it's very
idea.
bold. It's very bold.
I
Um,
will say real quick that what I like about you're talking about how he like dances around before it starts. It
mhm.
almost looks like in like an MMA or like boxing sort of thing that
Yeah,
he's trying to like cut the ring to like corner his opponent when he's like
yeah,
pacing back and forth. It's really interesting.
yeah. It's cool as hell. Um, Kobashi, like during that, uh, like Kobashi is like chopping him, and just the loudest, like thunderous chops ever. And Hase is basically no selling them.
Hmm.
He's just like, "Ooh, that's all you got." Eventually, his luck slips, but we'll get there. Um, they go into a test of strength spot, and Hase does the hook kick again, um, and just he kicks him like even harder than Chono.
Yeah. Well,
It
he's
might
the
just
invader.
it's true. He's trying to beat the ever living hell out of Kobashi. I don't think it's gonna go well for
By
you,
the way,
Chief.
just forcing Kenta Kobashi to work the mat is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just because those, as much as I love like a Misawa, the four pillars not wizards on the mat.
Mm-mm.
Um, and there is a chance that if Hase wasn't this good and Kobashi didn't have enough, he hadn't in his bag he hadn't been using. There's a chance this match could have been a disaster with how much
Yeah.
mat work there is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Royce, what did you think about this when you first saw it? I assume you were more familiar with Kobashi, right?
Yeah, like I'm Kobashi's. I mean, he's everyone's guy, but like that's my
Yeah.
number one. That's my goat, you know. And
Spit take.
I so I probably saw this match after I was already familiar with both, and it wasn't what I was expecting exactly, but it was really good regardless. Like
Yes.
it just was a little bit different than what I kind of probably came in expectations wise, you know.
Hmm.
I love how the start of this match is basically Hase violently forcing Kobashi to get on the mat with him,
Yeah, he
and
tries
every
like a
time,
hammerlock pin. Like he's
hmm
going pinning
Yep.
combos.
and
Yeah.
Kobashi, like anytime he does get anything in, he's like, "Wait, that worked?"
Yeah.
He's like, he's befuddled that he was able to like get to I think I describe it as like this like figure four calf slicer thing. And he's
Hmm.
just like,
Mhm.
all right, I guess I have this now.
Because I believe, at least it's just listed like this online. Kobashi he has some vague judo background, which I just know a lot of kids in Japan do that as a sport in like middle school and high school or whatever.
It,
Um,
Sure.
and that's the most I think he has. He did a little bit of amateur wrestling, but Hase is a fucking shooter. So it's really interesting seeing Kobashi have to apply whatever mat work knowledge he has here.
it's kind of like Misawa and Kawada,
Hmm.
how they apparently, allegedly,
Yeah,
um, have done
amateur
amateur
wrestling.
wrestling.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
but Misawa literally. I mean, the story that's been told is that he did it literally just because it was the only path to eventually do pro wrestling.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just wanted to
Um,
drop people in their heads.
he just really he was looking at Giant Baba waddling around in the ring, and he's like, hell yeah, I could do that, but
It's
cooler.
it's really interesting how much, and it makes perfect sense. But Hase is going to target the arm here because he wants to eliminate the chops.
Hmm.
And like he goes for like a first just the regular cross arm bar. He sort of figure fours it and then goes for the belly down arm bar, which is a really great transition.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, dude, I know that thing.
Yes, you do.
Um, let's see. Um, yeah, and like when Kabashi's doing like your typical knee work where you're like doing the elbows on the knee, Pase is reversing it into an armbar. So he's like catching him with like pretty simple stuff, um, from like grappling.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say there's a bit where he's got him. They're doing that figure four bit where Kobashi's applying it, and Hase like builds posture up. He puts like his left leg on the mat, and as Kobashi starts to sit up, he puts him into a guillotine.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It's just really
It
interesting.
was he put him into a butterfly lock first,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
yeah, you're
switched to
right.
Oh
the
My bad.
yes,
guillotine.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, like that's even sicker.
It
Yeah,
is sick. It is sick as fuck.
he's reacting to it so realistically. I
Hmm.
think is what works so well, and especially it's so jarring in '97 All Japan.
Yeah,
hmm
it's really weird to see like mat work that matters,
Yeah, yeah.
respectfully.
Yeah, for this level, for this All Japan, and then he turns that back into he starts doing like a straight arm block as
Hmm.
Kobashi relents there. It's just so interesting from because I've never seen someone get out of the figure four by just like applying like upper body submissions before. It's always breaking the lock on the legs.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. But Hase is an an important part about the story of this is that Hase is arrogant.
Hmm.
So like whenever he is doing like some grounded submissions, like grappling stuff, Kobashi like he'll start like striking,
Yeah, just
and
start throwing
Kobashi
ground
will
and
just get
pounds.
like pissed off and start like hitting back, and like most of the time he's winning those exchanges, even if he's on his ass.
Hmm.
Um, I love that. I love that Kobashi is dangerous. Like if you start striking with him, he is just as dangerous as he would be standing.
Also,
And
speaking of the arrogant, he goes for a Moodle lock.
yes, I was noting that, and I was like, does he just kind of do that now after the Muda match? But
Because he's
it's
bringing all the best hits of New Japan over.
yes, yes. Does he do an STF?
Yes, he does.
He
And he does the same
does.
thing with the Muda lock, where he just sort of, it looks great because he sort of lazily falls backwards, like he's just
Mm-hmm.
taking a back bump to put it
Mm-hmm.
in. It looks great every time.
It's so good. Yeah, Hase is just this absolute prick that you want to see Kobashi just squish like a little bug. And there's certain points where Hase will stand up like willfully against
Hmm.
Kobashi, and Kobashi will hit like crazy kitchen sinks,
Yeah.
like the meanest chops, and goes into like a crazy stalling vertical suplex, just keeping Hase up in the air forever. It's so cool.
Also, one of my favorite sequences from like the just about a third of the way um through the match
Hmm.
is um they're just doing their striking battle where they're like throwing like big boots at each other through the stomach.
Hmm.
Um and to interrupt that flow of like the stand and strike bit, Hase just goes for a single leg on Kobashi,
Oh
trips,
yeah, and
hits the inside trip, and then just yanks on his leg.
yes, I the way I was watching it, it kind of looked like Kenta Kobashi got really scared and didn't know what was happening, so he willfully fell to the ground. Which I thought was super funny.
But he's just trying his best to hyperextend the leg once he gets him down.
Yes, yes. Um, During the crazy offense part, Kobashi gets a little too excited and he puts in a chin lock,
Hmm.
which Hase has figured out how to do a jawbuster stunner from that position.
Yes.
He gets up and then just and launches him out.
I
Um,
I think the moral of this story is that every Hiroshi Hase match has a few of my favorite mat work counters I've ever seen.
it's
Yeah,
always cool. He,
So apparently, wrestlers to become less generic in their mat work should just be stealing counters that only Hase does.
yes.
absolutely.
Because
The
there's one
the
of these where
Yeah.
there's a test of strength, and then he goes for a drop toe hold in the middle of it,
Oh
and like
yeah.
takes Kabashi's back basically.
It's so funny.
hmm Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of counters, I don't know where it's at in the. I think it's kind of in the middle, so we're probably around there. But that Kobashi goes for an Irish whip and Hase reverses immediately into a Russian leg sweep. I thought was really fucking cool. Like
I'm an
it was just a
advocate of the
really
Russian leg sweep a lot because it's one of those old timey moves you don't see a lot.
mhm.
sure. I hate a Russian leg sweep as just a random throw in. But
Yeah,
if you have a cool way to get into it, I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, actually, just move rocks.
there's a
And
guy
it
on
was
the
like so smooth off of
Hmm.
just like the shoot off. There was no wasted movement. He went around and immediately put the leg in and went, and it was just like, oh, that's wonderful.
It's so
there's a
cool.
guy on the in Indiana indie wrestling right now who will take off expose the turnbuckle and then do a
Oh
Russian leg
yeah.
sweep into the turnbuckle.
It's really
Oh,
cool.
very cool.
Yeah,
Tyler Bateman does that as well. Without the, he does, I don't know if he's exposed the turnbuckle, but he'll do a Russian leg sweep into the turnbuckle, and then he'll do a running knee into the guy after they eat it there.
it's
For
like
whatever
the best application you could do of that move.
for whatever
Yeah.
reason, this reminds me of Sammy Callahan versus Danny Havoc, where they're doing Russian leg sweeps into like broken glass,
Hmm.
Mm.
which is extremely based.
Yeah, taking a move that's overall kind of like whatever, sort of dated if you're hitting it just like out of nowhere and just knowing where you are in the ring, like ring positioning wise, so that you can actually turn it into something very
Hmm.
explosive is something I really enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely agree.
If I can remember that guy's name, I'll say it at some point. But
Okay.
yeah, what's your next note there?
My next note is Hiroshi Hase has this big dick energy that makes him want to swang and bang, but this
Hmm.
is like standing up in Ganu when you have him on the ground.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's a self-explanatory note.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
Jared Kripke, that's the guy. He's done some OVW, but yeah, he does the exposed turnbuckle thing.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Um, Hase climbs to the top buckle, but Kobashi clambers up to the top rope for a vertical, which is pretty cool. It always feels like whenever Hase gets away from the grounded matwork stuff, he's in like completely out of his depth.
Hmm. And he has to
Um,
do that concession for the All Japan guy, right?
for sure.
Because in New Japan, he's okay brawling, but he's got to distinguish him from Kobashi for the fans.
Hmm.
These are All Japan fans, so they're going to be booing him.
It's true.
So he has to show his ass in some department to put over Kobashi.
Yeah. Some crazy body control from Hase, reversing a Boston Crab by bridging on his neck, then tossing Kobashi. Um, if you remember that spot, it's like
Yep.
he like turns it into like a head scissors, but for Kobashi's entire body,
Hmm.
and just launches him across the ring. But Kobashi gets up and like lariats his head off.
He also does hit that same Uranage about halfway through,
Yes.
where he's just fully overhead.
I think I hang on. I have a good note on this.
Hmm.
Kobashi hits the Booker T taunt in the corner where he's doing
Yes.
like the hand thing, and he tries a lariat, but Hase does in return a bookend and smiles at the camera crazy style.
Hmm. And then he goes right into the big swing.
The big swing. This is a crazy one. Um, Kobashi tries to do a giant swing beforehand, but he
Yeah.
sucks at it and gets gassed immediately. So Hase picks up Kobashi and does 13 rotations
Hmm.
with him. It's so cool.
And all the while, right afterwards, Hase sells that he's dizzy, and he's like
Hmm.
squinting and like looking like tired and dizzy, and it's so funny.
It's like a fighting
It's
game
probably
character.
yeah. It's honestly one of the best big swings I feel like I've seen because it it's a I mean Hosni's a big guy, but on a much bigger guy hitting a swing and it's like he goes it's not just that yeah, he gets 13 rotations, but like his pace on them is a crazy fast pace
Great
and
pace.
he doesn't like his steps, he doesn't miss a step. Like every
Hmm.
his footwork is phenomenal and like there's never any like, whoa, is he losing it until he's just like, all right, I'm done with it. It's like one of the it might be my favorite big swing I've ever seen someone hit. And it kind of almost I was like, huh, maybe I should do that. Even though the only problem is as a bald guy, I can't, everyone's gonna go Cesaro if I do that. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Maybe I'll bust it out.
I was gonna say that like basically Hase is like how Claudio does it on like Darby Allin, it doesn't look like he's like
Hmm.
lost. It's not at all like Kobashi is too big for him. He just like he's
Mhm.
locked in. He just hits it for 13
Yeah.
rotations. It's awesome.
Yes.
Um, and then he does a leg sweep on Kobashi and hits like this knee bar ankle lock thing. Is how I describe it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what it is. It's new submission just dropped from
Hmm.
Hase.
Well, it's almost
Koba
like if he wanted to, well, if he wanted to, or possibly knew what it was, it almost looks like he could go for like an inside heel hook, but instead
Yeah.
he's keeping
Sure.
it there. Yeah. Or rather
Yeah.
outside heel hook, but he's just keeping it there and sort of just rear naked choke gripping it like a knee bar, but he's not going like belly down,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Or if
is
he
a
wanted to, he could try to like get his legs in on the other thigh and banana split him or whatever. But like you said, he just doesn't. He just kind of hugs it and
it's a hold to look dangerous, but not actually destroys leg.
Yes.
yeah.
You don't want to damage one of the golden geese.
You don't
That
really
already
do
has outrageously shitty
you
knees.
don't really work a heel hook, at
No,
least to you can, but you got to be real careful. And I'm not sure if Hase is the guy to do that.
I don't think. I feel like that's a crazy thing to do unless you're like Brian Danielson, where
Well,
your
especially
body
in All
control.
Japan.
Yeah, right?
And especially at this time, like
Yeah,
think about, we still have some people that are like, whoa, legs, and you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's like you have to be brown belt, black belt to do any kind of heel hooks and stuff like that, anyways. So you're
yeah.
probably not gonna, this is 30 years ago. They're not gonna just throw that in, especially because I don't think like fans could probably back then understand more. You can see the foot and you can see these grabbing it
Hmm.
versus if he put it in his armpit, people are gonna be like, okay, so what are we doing
Uh,
here?
what's going on here? What's he targeting? For the longest time,
Yeah,
I
you have
thought,
to think about like they've had MMA over there for a few years now, but like Pride is probably ran like two events at this point or something like that. You know
Yeah,
what I
because it
mean?
started in '97.
oh yeah, so
Yeah,
literally that year.
This
yeah.
is like this is 2 months before Pride.
Oh,
So there you go. So Pride hasn't even ran an event yet. So it's like the general population is probably a little less educated on. I'm sure they know some, but
They've
not
had
not like
Pancrase.
they. Yes,
has
exactly.
UFC 1 happened yet?
Yeah,
Yes.
UFC one
Yes.
was '93.
Hmm.
UFC
Okay.
was
But
a few years before.
I was,
Yeah.
but that's moot because nobody at
Does
UFC
leg
1 was
locks.
doing leg locks. In fact, one of them is actively against leg locks,
Hmm.
and that
Yeah.
would be one Royce.
Shamrock knew a little bit of like
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have
For
known an
sure.
inside heel hook, but he would have known how to dive for an ankle, like a straight ankle lock
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. I will note, by the way, that the world was 2 years. It was 2 years before we saw the greatest heel hook of all time, Nobuhiko Takada, hitting that in Pride 5 of Mark Coleman.
You never.
I was like that was the Anderson heel hook happened way after. Oh no, you're not talking about that. Got it.
Mark,
Okay, here's my
Mark
question:
Coleman never
Could
saw it
you,
coming.
uh, Royce, could you have worked that MMA finish better than Takada and Coleman did it? Like, would you be able to sell that heel hook better?
I would hope so.
Yeah,
If not, then I'm in the wrong
yeah.
career.
So you're saying we should have more?
I'm the biggest. I am literally the biggest Mark Coleman fan in the world. Like that's
Oh
my
yeah.
guy. But
No, shout out the boy, of
and
course.
honestly, that it only adds to the legend that it's that bad.
Oh yeah,
But
no, I whenever I like the that's just a because I end up talking about Takada so much, I always bring that up as a punchline. But it's more to make fun of Takada than it is to make fun of
oh,
Coleman
Most
because
absolutely.
def,
of his
most
massive
def.
ego.
Yeah, yeah.
Takada walking up to Mark Coleman like the size of a house, and he's just like, "Hey, I'll pay you $50 if you just take a heel hook. That you definitely will feel." And just Mark Coleman's on the ground, just like, ah, ah.
as a note, about two-thirds of the way through, after a figure four attempt by Kobashi, we get some of the most unhinged like facial I've seen, like in the middle of a match, where Hase is like doing like a Joker laugh, and like
Yeah,
playing to the hard cam, and it
he's
just looks,
comically evil
yeah,
here.
looks absolutely unhinged. It's like, have either of you seen Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
It's just
Of
full of
course.
Lalo Salamanca. Is what he's
Yeah.
going for here.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Um,
I feel like Hase in general was and probably because he was in enemy territory and he knew what the deal was, but he was selling his ass off in this
Hmm.
match. Like he was really making it count.
mhm,
And Kobashi of course as well, but I would say that was one of like that might be like Hase's best, like Ricky Morton match of
Hmm.
him like
mhm.
really selling his balls off and bumping his balls off.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could convince you to start talking about balls.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a subliminal thing, and now we're just on the ball thing. Yeah.
Now we're just talking about balls, That's what you sign up for, man. Can't wait to have you on the show where we're just communicating in like almost Morse code, but with the word balls.
Oh.
Um, let's see here. There is a sweet body slam by Kobashi to the concrete. Looks
Hmm.
super mean. Hase reverses a power bomb on the outside by
Hmm.
like just sitting down.
Yes, it's that like Jumbo Tsuruta Morishima style counter
Yeah,
where he just puts
yeah,
his weight onto him.
it's pretty sweet. Um, but then there's a top rope like shotgun drop kick by
Hmm.
Hase to a figure four. There's a lot of figure fours here.
And once again, it's sort of relentless where he hits the drop kick and then immediately is grabbing his leg for the submission.
Mm-hmm.
You get the sense as like Hase gets more tired that he wants this to be over. And that's sort of where you get the babyface spirit of Kobashi, who just starts pulling the leg up out of the
Mm-hmm.
figure four just through brute strength.
Just no man is as like locked in and full of like heat as Kobashi when you get him like 10 minutes into a match.
Hmm.
Like he's completely locked in by that point. Um, and he is like actively like almost an inverse of Hase at the start of the match, like forcing him to do mat work.
Hmm.
Kobashi is actively forcing Hase, and Hase won't back down into doing a chop battle.
Hmm.
And who would have thought? I think during the chop battle, Hase gets desperate and he like starts kicking at his knee.
Hmm.
But that eventually leads to a massive stun dog, to face plant to dragon suplex by Hase.
Hmm.
Which looks like that should have ended the match, but Kobashi kicks out. To the roar of this is in the Budokan, right? It
Fact
doesn't matter
checking,
that
fact
much, but the
checking.
but the arena absolutely like explodes when this happens.
Nakajima Sports Center,
Excuse me, the Nakajima Sports Center
famous
explodes.
venue.
Famous venue. I've heard of it.
Yeah. No, I'm just
Uh,
joking.
um, Kobashi kicks out and then does his half Nelson suplex, which I think I should note. This is kind of in the in between era of Kobashi being like young boy who gets murdered by Stan Hansen,
Hmm.
to Reign of Fire. So he's still kind of he's visually looks like his young boy self, but he is also has like basically the moveset of a Reign of Fire Kobashi,
Hmm.
which is pretty sweet.
His body
Um,
hasn't been
Also, I'm
destroyed
gonna have
enough.
to I have to give props for it. You did not call it a half and half. You called it a half Nelson suplex,
it's
and
the
a
half
lot
Nelson
of
suplex.
Yeah.
it is, and a lot of wrestlers would call it incorrectly. And it's like, well, I guess technically it's a half Nelson and half of a waist block, but that's not a half and half. It should be, you have the wing there, and you're,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's we're not just talking. This is a half Nelson suplex. There is a difference. You noted it. I appreciate it.
We try and at least
Get a
kind of
job,
know our
anybody
shit
else who
here.
doesn't call it a half Nelson suplex. Get a job.
Yeah, but it's always been my goal with this channel or anything else is at least kind of know what I'm talking about compared to most wrestling media.
Then why did you get me on here?
Fuck.
Um, Kabashi. After Hase kicks out of the half Nelson, Kobashi chops Hase's neck. Somehow that's a babyface move when Kobashi does it. Like the most fucked up way of doing a chop, and it's like, yeah. Um,
This bomb throwing, my favorite sequence the entire time, right after that, is Kobashi whips him against the ropes. Hase just like basically double legs him, picks him up, and then drops his neck on the ropes.
yeah, it's crazy. Kobashi hits a running lariat to a leg drop. To I don't know what it's exactly called when he does like the scream in the corner,
Hmm.
before he does the burning moonsault, but I always call that the let's fucking go.
Yeah, yeah,
To a burning moonsault attempt. But he gets back suplexed from the top
yep,
and then gets hit with the Northern Lights, but he
yep.
kicks out. Let's fucking go. Um, and then a top rope Samoan drop by Kobashi, into a power bomb, but that gets a kick out. So he does another one, which is a jackknife pin, but then he kicks out. Then a Northern Lariat, some spin chops to the head, the let's fucking go, and then a burning lariat. Let's fucking. This is so sick. And
Uh, a note,
Royce.
a note from that sequence, real quickly. I'll just say
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, for sure.
when there's a point in which Hase tries to hit the Uranage, but Kobashi
Yes,
blocks him with his feet, which is like the actual way you counter that in judo. However, Hase then adjusts again and just turns it into a trip, which I thought
yes.
was really sick.
I
Oh yeah,
think
it's like kind of like an STO kind of almost
Yeah,
a type of trip thing.
yeah. He
I
like
just
he stops it because with judo, it's all about blocking with your hips, whether you're throwing or
Sure.
defending. And so Kobashi does the actual thing you would do there.
which is pretty sweet.
Hmm.
Hey, there's
Um,
that judo background coming in handy.
Hmm.
he pulled it out. Shout out. I described it as like a power half that he applies it, the way that he applies it to get him to the ground from around this
Hmm.
sequence.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, Royce, thank you. I didn't know
Yeah.
about this match, and this match is sick as fuck. I'm not sure if I expected anything else from Kenta Kobashi in 1997. But hell yeah, I was like locked in this whole time. It's a great match. I'm not sure if you guys have any other notes about this match that you
Yep.
want to talk about.
Yeah. You got any closing thoughts, Royce?
I mean, it's the main character of wrestling, Kenta
Hmm.
Kobashi, and I
Absolutely.
think one of the most underrated, one of the best guys in there, Hiroshi Hase. Like, do yourself a favor and go watch it. It's it's different than what you'd necessarily expect, but there's no part of that that's disappointing. It lives up to what you'd want,
Hmm.
and especially that I think, especially like the opening couple minutes and then the closing 5 or so minutes are really top notch
Yes.
and some great mat wrestling and grappling sequences along the way in the middle there. So I think, I mean, all three of them are really fun matches, and you can't really go wrong. But the moral of the story is Hiroshi Hase fucks.
Yeah.
Hiroshi Hase fucks. I don't think I could have said it any better myself.
I was also just
Yeah.
wondering, just from a wrestler's perspective, because you touched on it a little bit, but what should wrestlers take away from Hase?
I think he's obviously the mat stuff that he does is really really good stuff. Um, the way he stays active in holds, both when he's in them and when he's giving them, I think is something that not enough people are doing.
Hmm.
Um, his his intensity and kind of not just that he's intense, but that he gear changes at the right times. Like he's intense when he's supposed to be. He's a little more passive when he's supposed to be. He's kind of just more brooding and like dickish at times when he needs to be.
Hmm.
And I think that's stuff that is all like that kind of stuff you can apply whether like no matter what your style is, it doesn't really matter. Like in terms of what your in-ring style is, personality wise, you can apply that kind of stuff no matter who you are, kind of.
Abs
And I think the other main thing is, like I said, in the Muda breakdown, he's just trying to be him. So you can find cool stuff. Like I'm like, oh, cool. I'm gonna steal these things from Hase, but find a way to make it in your own voice and find a way to be yourself. Because if Hase went out there, I mean, we saw a match where he did like two or three Stone Cold Stunners in it, and if he would
hmm
have just done it like Steve Austin, then he would have just been another guy being trying to be like Steve Austin or whatever.
hmm
And instead, he's doing it how Hiroshi Hase would do it. So find your own voice and do your own things because that's really important too.
So what I'm hearing is that there's another blood sport coming up, and if you're on it, I better see one of these counters.
I want to see the figure four fall to the outside, and I will be popping loud as fuck inside of my Discord call watching that match that I have paid for. Josh
Hmm.
Barnett. Um,
Yeah, don't
um,
don't bootleg it. Come on, guys, what are we doing here?
we're not. Hey, I would never do that to my boy Josh Barnett. He would kill me. He would get pissed off,
He
and
would.
if he got in a fight with me, I would pull guard. He would get pissed off at me. He'd grab my skull and squish it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but he would do that after like 40 minutes of punishing you in like the worst way. Trust me, as a guy that's rolled with Josh plenty,
fuck
it's
that. Fuck that.
he likes me and it's pretty miserable for me. So if
Oh,
you piss him off, I
absolutely.
can't even imagine.
Yeah,
Dude, screw
recently I was
that.
working through his I was watching his neck lock instructional and then bring
Hmm.
that into rolling like each day, and people were not enjoying that very much.
Dude, what
No, it's
happened
not
to you, bro? You became an asshole.
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Um, I'm not sure if you guys have anything else.
Yeah, cuz
This has been a lovely episode, I would say, of the Bati-Bati Book Club.
yeah, thanks so
Um,
much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm glad we could work this out. It was I'll put it this way: I don't really do homework for podcasts ever, but when the homework is, hey, watch some Hiroshi Hase, I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty sweet. So this was a fun one, and it's fun to break down matches like that sometimes. So appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully everyone that took the time to listen to us three idiots ramble about Hase and pro graphs and whatnot. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got something out of it because I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
without further ado, I will end it right here.